Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where experts in the field inform, educate and inspire the community to be healthier, balanced and live the lifestyle they love. Our first guest today is health coach Denise Mokadsi. We'll be discussing the topic, are you feeling powerless about your health? Epigenetics and a personalised lifestyle can help you prevent chronic disease. Welcome, Denise.
Hi, how are you going?
Denise, you say you have more control over preventing chronic disease than we think. Can you explain what you mean by that?
A lot of people think that we're at the mercy of our genes, and we're actually not. About 80% of our lifestyle diseases are related to how we're living. This sort of becomes around the topic of epigenetics. And epigenetics is probably something that people have heard before, but maybe not be quite sure about what it is, yes. And a good way to understand it is to break it down. I like to break it down into the two parts. So the epi, the first part of the epigenetics refers to on top or above, and the genetics is our DNA. So most people understand, we've got genetics, we've got DNA. But a lot of the things that we do and how we show up in the world is a result of how those genes are expressed. These genes can be altered by things that sit on top of the genes or affect the genes, and that's the part of the epigenetics. So it really does come down to lifestyle, and all of the things that we do in our lifestyle influences where these markers might go or how these genes are either turned on or silenced. So that's how we can have a lot of control, more control over what happens to our health. And we're not really at the mercy of just getting a chronic disease or an illness. Most of us who, how we do end up getting sick differs so much. You might know someone that has lived a certain way, like maybe smoked their whole life and has never been sick. Or someone else has gotten lung cancer. Why is it that we can do similar things to other people, but our results can be very different? And that is really because of our genetics. And this is where things that we do constantly doesn't necessarily need to lead to a chronic disease. Everybody will respond to stress a different way, and it's really about understanding your genes and knowing what we can do to help prevent those kind of lifestyle illnesses.
Can you give us an example of how tailoring an approach to someone's genetics or their personal biology could make a difference?
Tailoring approach is really helpful because it does save a lot of guesswork. People can try lots of different things, and you might have heard someone does very well with intermittent fasting or to be on a keto diet, so someone might try to do that as well and find that it doesn't work for them. So there's no problem with people trying things. That's definitely a strategy, but it can put people into more of a stress response if they're doing something that's against their genetics or their natural biology. And so we can personalise particular strategies for people by understanding what their biology is and what their DNA or genetics is best suited to, and personalised strategies for them knowing that, so they don't have to go through the guesswork. So I can give you some examples around all the lifestyle strategies or lifestyle things that we do. Very common, food. Everyone eating different foods can be very challenging, trying to work out a different diet, like should I be vegetarian, should I be carnivore? But when we do genetic testing, we can see that someone's biology will be better suited to metabolising vegetables, for example, or they're better responding with carbohydrates, or better responding to proteins or fats. So this can help us set a diet or a nutritional approach around the things that suit their body better. So if they're very responsive to carbohydrates, eating a diet with more carbohydrates is going to be very beneficial for them, rather than avoiding carbohydrates because they think that they should, or that avoiding carbohydrates for someone else was good for that person, but it might not necessarily be good for this person. Similarly, with exercise and workout, you see a lot of people trying to do workouts that worked really well for other people, like the HIIT kind of style, you know, the F45 and the CrossFit and all of the high intensity kind of intervals where people can get results if their body is suited to that kind of training. Someone who has the genetics that is better suited to strength training or endurance type training would do better or get better results doing that kind of activity. And so we just want to try to avoid putting the body under unnecessary stress by knowing how to match people's lifestyles to, you know, what they've been born with, basically.
Denise, what are some tips you've got for our viewers in terms of them taking control of their long-term health?
Definitely for long-term health, so that we're avoiding or preventing the chronic health issues that we see, you know, the diabetes, the obesity, osteopenia, osteoporosis, all these kind of chronic diseases. We can really avoid those by 3 simple things. Well, there's more, but I'll limit it to 3. So thinking about eating healthy, and while we can personalise how that might look for somebody, what foods exactly they're eating, how much of certain types of foods, so what percentages of carbohydrates, proteins and fats, and also the timings of when people eat. That's really important too, the chronobiology of when we should be eating, like how our body best metabolises foods. For most people, avoiding processed foods and eating whole foods in their natural state is going to be a really good tip for longevity and healthy living into the future with, you know, trying to avoid those chronic illnesses. Sleep's really important. So chronic illness really comes down to how can we manage the stress on our body, and if we can get decent sleep, 6 to 8 hours per night, that's very beneficial for healthy aging and longevity, because when we sleep, so much of repair and recovery is happening, and if we shortchange that, then we're going to miss out on recovering properly, that we get this continued stress day after day after day, which really builds up and can bring us into those chronic ill health states. And just having a really mindful mindset, I guess, a positive mindset, because how we see ourselves and the people around us and our belief systems is a very big influence on our stress load, like how we manage what we're experiencing day to day. So I think getting on top of those 3 things is going to help people move the dial quite a lot towards healthy aging and living, you know, longer, healthier. Another important thing is that we can try lots of things, but if someone's really struggling, it's probably better to go and seek professional advice so that you can get on top of the things and they don't get worse. So yeah, I would always recommend seeking professional advice to help people with their health and well-being where they're stuck.
Thanks for such valuable information, Denise. If you'd like to know more about how epigenetics can help prevent chronic disease and improve your lifestyle, and more about Denise Mokadsi, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we have another interesting guest with another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, psychotherapist specialising in hypnotherapy Julie Makin will be talking about find freedom from a habit or an addiction. Welcome back. Our second guest is Julie Makin, a psychotherapist specialising in hypnotherapy, and we will be discussing how to find freedom from an addiction or a habit. It's so good to see you again, Julie.
Thank you.
So can you define for us what is an addiction and what is a habit?
Yes. So how I would say about a definition, and this is Gabor Mate's, for an addiction, it's anything that provides you with relief, that gives you pleasure, something that you crave, and it may have negative consequences. And even if it has negative consequences, you still continue to do it. So I feel that that is a great definition for what an addiction actually is. What I would say about a habit, so let's just say that somebody might have a habit about getting ready in the morning, and just perhaps they, leave something out, or they don't do something, and then maybe they might start to get a little bit agitated or worried, or they start going into that fight-flight state. So that's the way I would go about saying a habit. Now, as far as addictions are concerned, it can really be anything. So it could be, the good old chocolate addiction, or maybe there's, the hardened ones like the drugs or the alcohol. People who go to gym and they get addicted to the pain in their body from doing their workout. That is an addiction. So it can be anything that is a substance or a behaviour.
Why do people have addictions and habits?
Let's just say we have an uncomfortable emotion that comes up. Just for this purpose, let's just call it anxiety. Okay? We all know that anxiety is really uncomfortable to sit in, really uncomfortable. And I can actually remember one particular moment for myself when I'm, at a party, and I've got my glass sitting on the wooden table in front of me, and it's full of water. And my friends are around and they're having a great time. They're singing, the music is blaring, and I'm reaching over to get my glass, and my hand is shaking. I grab the glass, and I can see the glass, the water starting to shake in there. I have to use my second hand in order to stabilize it, because the anxiety is so bad, just to get the glass to my mouth. So anxiety can come up in different ways for you. It can be so powerful. Now, when we've got our anxiety that's coming up, a lot of people, because we're sitting in that discomfort, we need to soothe that pain. And we might do that with smoking or gambling or a drug, whether it be prescription or perhaps, more recreational drug. There's so many different things that this can help, but this helps to soothe that pain and just puts it back down. And we get to a point where, we might feel uncomfortable in our environment. This might start coming up, but you don't feel it, you don't recognize it, because this is already on it, helping us. So the first thought that you might get is, oh, I really need that cigarette or whatever, and it's already there helping soothe it. Now this might be, so whatever the addiction or behavior, whether it be substance, that could actually be soothing the pain. It could be your time out, it could be your escape. Whatever it is, I invite whoever feels that they might have an addiction or a habit, I invite them to get really compassionate for themselves, okay?
So you've mentioned self-compassion. Is there other tools that people can use to help with their addiction or their habit?
Absolutely. I think that the first thing to notice is if you start having this anxiety come up, and perhaps you have your first thought of wanting that cigarette, or that first drink of alcohol, or whatever it is for you, whatever your coping mechanism is, I invite you to hold off from having it and just begin to notice and have an awareness of what it is that's coming up for you. So it might be agitation in the body. Your hands might start to shake, you might feel your heart start to race. But then what I'd really invite your guests to notice is if they can go inside their body, really focus on that part of the body and really thank it, because an emotion is made up of all physical sensations. When I have clients that come in, I might say to them, okay, I invite you to notice whether or not that feeling feels heavy or light. Is it hot or cold? Is it lots of pressure in that area, or is it more ease, and it might have a color attached to it? Is there movement? All of these things are tiny little physical sensations, and it's all these little physical sensations that make up an emotion. And what I invite you to notice is, or just imagine if you've got an emotion, if you were to think of it like an opera. Okay, now an opera can be so extremely powerful. It has the power to make you laugh, make you cry, make you happy, or make you sad. But if you can imagine the power that that opera would have if there was just the one instrument playing, just like if there was just the one physical sensation that you were focused on, what would the power then be?
What practical advice do you have for our viewers?
Okay, so the practical advice that I would provide viewers is that if they, after completing that little exercise that I just provided, so just holding off and just noticing what is coming up in the body, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, please seek a professional therapist. Once again, we're looking at all different types of modalities, so whatever is right for you. My suggestion would be for somebody to seek somebody that works with the body, because it's the body that's where it's at. I know that there has previously been people who have worked with particular therapists for maybe three years, and they may have had an emotional eating issue, but then when they've gone and sought help with working with the body, it really didn't take long for them to just drop that emotional eating issue, and they were able to feel safer in the world. They were approaching things differently. So it really depends on the person, what is right and safe for them as to what action of therapy it is that they take. But I strongly suggest people have a look at different associations, because you want to know that those people are qualified. You don't want to just go off and choose anybody, but you want to go to associations, have a look at what practitioners it is that they suggest on their web pages.
Thank you, Julie.
No worries.
If you would like to know more about Julie Makin and addictions and habits, please visit her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And after the break, we'll be back with another interesting guest and another interesting topic.
Stay tuned. After the break, Sue Williams, Doctor of Quantum Counselling and Clinical Hypnotherapist, will be talking about healing energies across species. Can the same techniques benefit both humans and animals? Welcome back. Our next guest, Sue Williams, is a Doctor of Quantum Counselling and a Clinical Hypnotherapist. And the topic we'll be discussing is healing energies across animals and humans. Welcome, Sue.
Thanks, Megan. It's great to be here.
Sue, could you tell us a little bit more about healing energies?
Yes, this is something that I've become very interested in, and it's been a bit of a logical progression from the other modalities that I've already studied. And it's definitely cross-species, because we're all energetic beings, we're all composed of energy, and quantum physics, which I go back to quite often with a lot of my modalities, means that we are all connected energetically. So it's like the air we breathe, we can't see it, but these energy fields are there. And the ones that people are probably most common with are the EMFs, so your electromagnetic fields, which we're supposed to try and avoid, the microwaves in our microwave ovens, radio waves. I mean, we've got our phones are sending out waves, energy waves all the time, so we're surrounded by energy without us even realising. But the great thing about that is that we can incorporate that into healing. We can use different techniques to find out what is wrong with our energy fields, whether they're unbalanced, whether they need support, and then we can use many different ways to support them and get them back into alignment. And if we go back centuries, we look at traditional Chinese medicine, that is based on the meridians, which are the energy lines through our bodies where the qi flows. And of course, they've used acupuncture and acupressure for millennia to be able to heal and correct different problems with humans and animals. And I know even in the racing industry, acupuncture is used a lot with racehorses. And whether you believe it or not, a horse doesn't know any better. And if it makes them improve and improves their health, well.
So can we actually use similar healing energies on animals and humans?
Absolutely. As I said, we're all energetic beings. So the same rules apply to the animals as they do to the humans. And there's an incredible new technology, bioenergetics, that actually uses modern technology to scan the body field of humans. And at this stage, we're horses, dogs and cats, because there is specific software for those 3 species. But it can be expanded to animals that are a similar shape to a horse, say a cow or something similar. It's got the 4 legs and a big body. So we can use it with different animals. But that scans the body field of whatever the being is, and finds where it's disrupted, where it needs support, and you view it on your computer. So these traditional ways with the Reiki and acupuncture and similar modalities now is definitely in the 21st century, with it all being able to be viewed on your computer. So it's definitely a great alternative for people who are having physical problems, nagging injuries. It's very good for. And again, if you've got emotions that you need a bit of help with, it'll be something to do with your energy field, and these technologies and these modalities can definitely help. And this bioenergetics field, this new technology is just amazing. And the great thing for us is that it was actually developed by an Australian, I think more than 30 years ago now. His name is Peter Fraser. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but his work is being carried on with other specialists and one particular man who trained with Peter. So it's an ongoing project that they're developing more and more with this technology. But it's really great that it started here in Australia. So many good things have started here in Australia. So we've got a lot to thank Peter Fraser for this particular modality.
That's so interesting, Sue. Do you have any advice for our viewers on their own energy healing journey?
Yes, definitely, because these days we have so many professionals who specialise in these different modalities who can help us. So reach out. If you want to go the traditional route first, acupuncture is just available everywhere. Allopathic doctors very often offer acupuncture as well, because they have realised the benefits. Reiki, again, is very widespread. It's getting to be very well known. So definitely look up a professional, because sometimes it's more difficult for us to change our energetic field ourselves. We do need that external help. But yep, turn to the professional and start with ones that you're aware of, like the acupuncture and acupressure. And then if you want to find out more, then move on. Educate yourself, and then it's certainly not going to hurt, and it will help your pets and animals as well.
Thanks, Sue. That's such valuable and interesting information. If you'd like to know more about Sue Williams and the benefits of energy healing for humans and animals, please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And we're going to say bye-bye for today and see you next time. If you'd like to know more about our show, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel.